Welcome back to another episode of Security Skates. This is your host Paul, and on this episode you will attend the Bonpua Skate Spot Cleanup, aka the Rancho Cienega Skate Spot Cleanup. This cleanup happened on Saturday, May 17th and started at 2 p.m. This cleanup was in partnership with the Office of Community Beautification and as a Skate Park Respect Ambassador. This was Security Skate's first time doing a cleanup out at Bonpua Skate Spot, so I was excited to get out there and get started. Here is a shot of our setup here. We had our goods out, our information displays had some snacks. Big shout out to the Office of Community Beautification and Skate Park Respect. We were also advertising the Hoodland Skate Park takeovers that were coming up soon. Had our waters out, had the sign out letting volunteers know they could check in here. Had our buckets with our grabbers, our brooms, and our dustpans. It was good times. Unfortunately, the weather wasn't looking too hot for this cleanup, but I was out there to get some work done. This is a good shot to give you an idea of how gloomy and windy it was, and sure enough the rain did come in, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. First thing I wanted to do was get this trash can upright, get a trash bag in there, and make sure that a trash receptacle was available for everybody that was skating that day. This trash can still did have the flyer that we had put on it, so I was happy to see that, but the weather was just working against us this day. Wanted to show you guys this little part here because this is what I probably put the most work in on. There's a bunch of trash in these little cubbies underneath the bench or ledge right here. So I was going to make sure that I got to this stuff and got it all out of there. But I'm going to give you a little tour. There's some more of it there. Going to give you a little tour of around the park real quick. Give you a look of what it looked like before we got there. Got some work done. I always get a little rush to check out what kind of trash is laying around so that I can see what kind of work I'm going to have to put in. Fortunately, Bonpua wasn't too bad. I have seen worse, but it could use a little love and care. I'm going to show you some of this stuff here. It's just little bits of trash mostly lying around, and all that stuff in the little cubby holes underneath the ledge that really needed work. But other than that, this is a beautiful skate spot. It's pretty open and is set up so that you can kind of pump around the park and have some fun with it, get some speed going. You can see over here these ledges had just like some trash and debris. Some dust puddles, I guess you would call it, over here in the corners. I'm going to show you this other end. Some stuff over here. I always like to check the grass areas and the fencing around the park too, if there is any. You can see here some trash over there. Just little bits, trash debris, little plastic particles, stuff like that. And some stuff here. But honestly, wasn't too bad, wasn't too much work, so I wasn't too upset that there weren't too many volunteers out there this day. Again, the weather was working against us. We were expecting rain this day, but I definitely wanted to get out there and get some work done and get set up before it came in. If you haven't been to Bonpua before, it has these two big banks on each side, which are pretty fun. If you can get all the way up to the top and just pump around, you can really get some speed going on those things. But yeah, behind them, like over here in this corner, there was some trash buildup that could have used some work, so we were definitely going to get to that. But let's see, show you this here. You know, I'm really starting to enjoy going out to the parks and just picking up the trash and making them look just a little bit better. Most parks that I go to, you know, aren't too bad, but there are some parks that could use a lot of love and care. But I'm honestly starting to enjoy cleaning up the parks as much as I am skating them. Of course, it's like apples and oranges. It's two different things because you get to exercise and really get your adrenaline going with one, but on the other hand, you're getting to clean up the park and make it look a little bit better. So I wanted to get under here and get started on these cubbies because I knew this is what's going to take the most attention. Got a broom, started sweeping all this stuff out. There were 5 separate cubbies that were going to need this kind of attention, but this was the first one I was working on. There it is after. Got it cleared out. You can see there was a bunch of prizes in each one. This one had a shoe. This one had, I think, a pair of jeans in it. Yeah, there they go. Had a pair, like it was like a shirt or something, like a pair of jeans or something. Just a bunch of trash that needed to be swept out of there. There's the second one. Moving over to the third one, there were a couple of plastic cup prizes that needed to be swept out of there. This was probably the lightest one. Had some like pine needles and leaves and plastic cups, stuff like that. But yeah, I wanted to get that swept out of there. This was the after. Little pile that I had there for that one. Moving over to the fourth one, there was a little bit more trash in this one. I noticed there was something heavy in there and it was taking a little bit more work to get it out of there, but this one had a pretty cool prize. Check this out, car stereo. I think it had a cassette player on it, so it was pretty old school, wasn't anything too fancy. But yeah, I did find a car stereo in there. Pretty cool prize. But after getting that out of there, I started to notice this stench, like this really bad odor that was coming out. But after I got it swept out, I figured out what it was. Wanted to show you guys real quick. It was some Trader Joe's boneless beef ribs that were sitting in there for who knows how long. But yeah, they did not smell good at all. I don't know if there was a hole in the packaging or something, but it still seemed to be pretty intact. So I wanted to just leave that as it was and get over to this last cubby. This one wasn't too bad. You could see here there was a little bit more trash in this one, but it was the last one we were doing, so I wasn't too upset about it. Here's what it looked like after. Had 3 good piles going on, but some sprinkles were starting to come down already, and the park was starting to get wet, so I wanted to hurry up and move on to the rest of the park while I still had the opportunity. You can see here the banks and the floor were getting pretty wet. There was some water on the rails already, so I wanted to make sure that I could just get back to cleaning and focus on what I could do. Started to get these piles picked up into a bucket, into the bigger trash can. Wanted to be careful with that beef, make sure I didn't open it anymore. Made sure I got the car stereo into the trash can. And here it is. You can see afterwards. It looks pretty good. A lot better, honestly. So I was ready to get to work on the rest of the park. So I went over and got my grabber and bucket and started to pick up some of that trash we saw earlier around the banks and around the rest of the park. Got over here to this corner, got up some little plastic bags and stuff like that, some chips bags. Started to see some accumulating in my bucket right there. At this point, those sprinkles were getting a little bit bigger and were starting to wet the park a little bit more, so I wanted to make sure I got some of the dust up that I had seen. So you could see here, it was definitely starting to get wet, but I got over here to this little stair set and wanted to get some of this stuff starting to get swept up. There it is there. Got it picked up with a dustpan and put into a trash can, but this rain was coming down just a little bit more consistently. You could see some of my stuff was starting to get wet. You could see the drops dropping there. My phone was getting wet, so I wanted to pack up and make sure that none of my stuff got too damaged. Had my Bluetooth speaker out there, so I wanted to make sure I definitely got that into my car and ready to go. But that wasn't the end of the cleanup yet. I just wanted to make sure that my table was clear and get some stuff put away. See, I still had my board out there. It was definitely getting more wet there at the skate park, so I had to get some work done before it got even worse. In the middle of the park there is a pyramid, and there was some vegetation starting to grow through the wood chips, so I wanted to give that a shot and see what I could do with that. I was able to start pulling it out by some roots, which is the key, so I started doing that, filling up my bucket. You can see there, just walking around the whole thing, kind of grabbing, pulling. Definitely should have had some gloves on because there were some spiked weeds out there, but hey, still got the work done. You can see I was able to fill up my bucket with all this vegetation that was in there, and the middle pyramid was looking a lot better. Check this out. Yep, love to do that kind of work, so that was awesome. The rain had stopped, or the sprinkles had stopped I should say, and the park was starting to dry up a little bit more, but we had a bag of trash going, and I was a happy camper. Wanted to get over here to this little spot, pull up some of these weeds here too, growing out by the staircase. Got rid of those, and sure enough, the park was starting to dry up, so I wanted to get a sesh in real quick while I could. Check this out, y'all. Had some fun with it. Good times. Definitely could have gotten a little bit stronger of a 5-0, but hey, I'll take what I can get these days. You can see it was drying up here, and we're going to take a tour around the park real quick. I had already packed my stuff away. You can see here were the 5 cubby holes that we got to. Got some work done. I'm going to be quiet for a second so that you can check out this park, kind of get a roll around tour of it. Let me know if there was anything that you saw, and I'll chime back in a couple minutes. Hey y'all, I ain't even gonna lie, right here I almost got taken out. Check it out. You can see the camera kind of jerk. If you're skating at Bonpua trying to get something down this set, just be careful. I'm gonna show you right now. I almost got taken out by this little. It's a lot worse than a rock, yo. It's like a hole in the ground right there. But yeah, that thing almost got me. All right, check out the rest of the park, y'all. Alright, coming back, this was the trash that we had accumulated throughout the cleanup. I was sorry to see that there weren't any volunteers out there, anybody really skating, but again, it was kind of a rainy day, so it is to be expected. I was still super hyped to get some work done, and I was able to leave a trash bag in this trash can. You can see the flyer is still there. I think I pulled that off of there before I left. Big shout out to the Office of Community Beautification for all the work they're partnering with us doing this year, doing 24 skate park cleanups in 2025. Be sure to check us out, get an idea of when the next one is. You can do that by giving us a follow on Instagram at security_skates. This is our main outlet for all our media and cleanup announcements. Security Skates Productions is a privately skater-owned independent enterprise and skate parks advocate. You can get more information by logging on to securityskates.com. This has been your host, Paul, signing off. Now get off of YouTube and go skate, y'all. Happy skateboarding.